Very good afternoon all and welcome you all. Friends, today we have in our session Mr. Kshitish Trivedi, and we also feel proud for Kshitish because he is our alumni. He passed out from Chotubai Gopalbhai Patel Institute of Technology in 2009 batch. So he is a graduate from our very first batch. And Kshitish is having a very inspiring journey so far after graduating in mechanical engineering. He started his career as an project engineer from Pratik Beverages in 2004. 2004 to 2016, he was with Pratik Beverages. And then he shifted as an international sales manager at Fine Work Yunnan, which is located in China. He worked there from 2017 to 18, and currently he is working as an assistant manager SCM, which is a division of international solar projects with Sterling and Wilson Solar Limited, Mumbai. Very good afternoon, Kshitish. How are you? Are you able to listen me?
All clear, sir. I am able to reach
Fine.
each and every word. Good afternoon, sir.
Fine, good. And for audience, let me just say one thing, that please mute your mic as well as video. Later on, we'll be having a questionnaire session, of course. And in between, if you have any question, you can post into the chat box also. And this entire session will conduct as a questionnaire session only rather than a lecture, so that you will be having enough insight as a to draw a roadmap as a mechanical engineer. Many of you may be on the verge of your completion of your study, maybe a final year student. Even if you are a pre-final year student, then also it will be a very interesting talk. I'm very sure of the caliber of Kshitish. So Kshitish, I have a very first question on behalf of the audience. Tell us something about your journey immediate after the college. You graduated as a very first batch student of CGPIT Institute of Technology. So please tell us something about your journey immediate after the college.
Sure, sir. First, I would like to thank Chinmay sir that you brought me on this platform and I am able to connect with my college student. And I am really very glad that after graduation, we in a life become so much busy rather than going behind the different jobs, taking our career, making our career path. So I really feel proud that I am again getting connected with the institute. You are taking an initiative to bring alumni on such in the post lockdown, the lockdown journey into a creative one. I really think I'm really thank and glad to be here and to start a initiative and to make our children believe that the phase is for a limited period only. There are always phases which changes so fast, so drastically that we always have to be prepared for that. So I believe that this talk will surely help them.
Of course. And it's our pleasure to have you with us. Of course, and it's our pleasure to have you with us.
Sure, sir. So coming back to your question, it was a very difficult phase when we, as a student, when we are passing out, when we are freshly graduated, we hardly have a clear path, and I believe no one would have a clear path. But then, first batch from CGPIT, having a mentor like you, Sudhakar sir was there. I still remember the tremendous faculties which they were giving up a tremendous time, putting up innovative ways to make us a market driven. Sudhakar sir, Palak madam, Harshit sir, all I still remember the faculty members. So, it was a difficult time where after a graduate, I still remember I started with a very small. It was a CGM Shriram company based in Ankleshwar, chemical company, where being the first batch and listening the stories of my friends who are getting placed from the institute, we always feel that we should not start small. There should be something big, what we call as a big leap, big jump. But then I learned that you always, being an engineer and freshly graduate, start with a small, whatever opportunities are coming up, you just grab it and start learning, because this 2 to 3 years will help you drive, will help you build your basics, whatever you are learning in college. And after that, so I started with this DCM Shriram. I still remember I started as an apprenticeship, where as an engineer we always should start with graduate engineer training, that is GET. So that was a very discomforting zone where my mind was not ready to accept this apprenticeship. It was into a maintenance job, and I started with that. So, but then I learned this thing that we always have to start with very small. We just can't expect a big jump. And even what I learned was I started making connections well before graduating. So even this very short piece of advice, that before getting graduate, we always have to start making connections. We always have to tell what we are doing and what we want to do after getting graduate, so that all the connections would be in place and you can find the opportunity right after getting graduation. Sir, your
now it's audible. My next question is, will you please share something about your experience at Fine Work Yunnan New Energy Technology Limited, China? Of course, recently China is in discussion with some other reason, but I hope your stay at China and working with the Chinese firm obviously will be having some different exciting experience. You please share because we all want to know the progress and the status of the China, and particularly it's a credit for you that being a graduate from one small institute, because in 2009 when CGPI started, it was a very small institute, and being a graduate of that small local institute, and you having completing a graduation from that small institute, having an international exposure, having an opportunity to work for an international company. So certainly we all would like to know about your work at China. Please share something regarding to that.
Sure, sir. So it was a wonderful journey. Chinese, what I learned, I mean, Chinese was, I never thought of that I'll be going and taking up opportunity in China, where in my family no one had and stayed outside for job or for any reason. So it was a very, I must say that a challenging job which came in front of me. I took it, and I discovered a complete where people, that was a period in 2016 when people were saying that China is a powerful country. They are driving the industry. They are driving the world economy. So what I learned there, the first day when I went to China, I joined this Fine Work. Fine Work was the company name. It was based in Hunan province, Hunan state. It was two and a half hour drive from Shanghai. So I learned a very interesting thing about Chinese was they were pouring as much as money into R&D. R&D was their key reason why they have established a huge economy. What other thing I learned from there was the hardworking nature. I, taking on the another aspect, hospitality is same like what we Indians tend to do with the foreigner. whenever foreigner is visiting India, we are always humble and we are always ready to help any foreigners we see. The Chinese are also having the same nature. They are mostly into the same kind of nature, and they have this ability to help and push all their team members to an extent where they can achieve as much as efficiency they can be in a group or in a team. So I learned that R&D, my company was personally putting R&D as a second. They started developing Industry 4.0. Most of you would be aware with Industry 4.0. That means that everything did start to do automation, where we can cut down our labor cost, where we can cut down our miscellaneous cost, like wastage cost would be less because more automation. This automation, I completely believe that this will come after a certain period of sales or certain period of years. But most of the companies in Chinese have started putting lot into Industry 4.0. So my my company was also into this renewable energy. We were making big size of bushing and fasteners for wind blades. This is where I got into a renewable energy sector from Chinese uh, this company, and it was a really good period where I was in touch with Europe is still a renewable energy stronghold a position market where European countries have this a very stronghold in renewable energy. It was a very good experience where I completed my career. I took that Chinese opportunity and I took it in a very positive way where I was able to self-drive my objectives. I was able to develop Indian market for a Chinese company as well as the European market for them. That is a instruction. I mean, everything is interesting, but then this break I got it from one of my cousin brother. He was handling. He's the associate director in Cipla. He is having this pharma background. But what happened? I got a bit lucky that his sub vendor was having opening in a mechanical this company fine work. So they touch base with me. I gave an interview and got selected. So this journey started on a very positive note, and even the CEO, the Italian director, what I was having in the previous company, were very much helpful. I mean, they helped me to develop my skills. They helped me to be a self-reliant. So I was able to self-drive the sales growth in Indian market, where I worked with Suzlon, Inox Wind. So it was a very. I mean, I'm very glad to get that opportunity, that break. That is the reason why I'm. That is the reason why I'm now a self-driven guy and achieving the goals in the organization.
Okay, what was the procedure for your selection there?
Selection was quite lengthy one. Earlier, what was happening, this company was not having a base in India. So they took two video call interview, video conference was done. Then they schedule a meet in Delhi because their team, the CEO was traveling to Delhi to meet Suzlon team. So there they called me Delhi. Then we had a face-to-face meeting. Then again there was a HR round. So there was in short, in total there were 4 rounds, and I cracked all of them. So because of that, I got this opportunity and got along into fine work. But then they even their focus was on the market study and how renewable energy market will drive the India down the line 10 years, 5 years. So I figured out this thing from Chinese that they are very much focused on the market. If market is able to deliver, they are ready to invest in the market. So 2016 and till 2018, it was a good period in India where government of India have taken quite a good initiatives in wind energy, solar energy. It was overall a good package where I was able to take the drive for so long.
Okay, my next question is, regarding to your present job profile. So can you please describe a typical day in your current position? How you spend your day? What sort of activities you carried out during your entire day at Sterling and Wilson?
Sure, sir. So I'll quickly brief what Sterling and Wilson is into. Sterling and Wilson is into solar. It is a solar EPC company, engineering, procurement, and commissioning, where we design, develop, and where we design, develop the solar farms, whether it is utility farms, the big farms, or rooftop projects, or the utility grid project, where we also undertake government projects. So earlier, before the lockdown, it was quite a normal life what it was going on, having a job from 10 to 7 or 11 to 8. But then post lockdown, what I had faced, the changes are going on there is no timeline of working. People are working in Sundays as well, where they are what exactly which day it is going on. So my day usually starts with in early with an early call. I always have a call with either US client or Australian clients or vendors. We are having projects in big solar projects in Australia and US as well. So it starts with a con call every day, giving out the status, connecting with the vendors, taking out the material status, what material has been manufactured, keeping in line with the project team, so that we in this pandemic also we make sure that the delays are not delays are not there because of this pandemic. We make sure, because the delivery timeline is very much crucial in solar project. We cannot afford a delay in getting site. So it always starts with a phone call. Then once phone call is over by 10 or 11, I start working with the rooftop. I'm also handling the Pan India solar rooftop projects. So then it is a regular day kind of job where I get in touch with all the rooftop vendors across the India. Then there's always a phone call with rooftop project team, where always have to give a report when and when where which material will be delivered to the respective site. So it is from getting up early in 7 till 6 in the evening. It is a kind of a job where I am reporting to different managers in different hierarchies, and making sure that we are not getting material delayed for any reason. Where I keep teams in my hand, where I keep project team in my hand. So it is kind of setting up a corporation, a good relation with all the stakeholders, so that we ensure that project goes smoothly. Okay.
So, now let's get back to the present scenario. My next question is, what opportunities you see for the mechanical engineers in the present government commitment for Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan? Can you share something regarding to that with the audience?
Sure, sir. Recently, our finance minister Sitharaman has announced many laws and many benefit schemes under Atmanirbhar Abhiyan. I was just going through each sector, and where I figured out that uh, being, let's say, for example, all MSME sector, if we start or touch up upon my basically background is into renewable energy. So if we start or touch up upon uh, things like battery storage or PV systems, so those things are very much good, and we can take the benefits of government initiatives. Even I figured out that there would be a fast track investments. Then there would be government wants to make good use of, you know, the domestic what we call it local, the local industries, which we still government doesn't have a record of those. There are many small industries. So if we unite them, there are many opportunities going to rise, considering coal sector, defense sector, automobile sector, energy. So overall, there would be many opportunities going to be rise. But then I would only suggest that it is always advisable to start building your connections well before graduating, so that some opportunities would click, and you always have to make sure that you always start with a small step, so that nothing is lost down the line. 2 or 3 years, you always have to build your basics very clearly, because in college we are always having n number of subjects, we are always reading, we are passing, that is our agenda. But once you are entering into a real world, a corporate world, or an engineering field, engineering firm, you always have to stuck up in a subject, particularly in one subject where you have to study basics. So it is the opportunities are there, and it would always be up. It would always be there. Taking up this Atmanirbhar initiative by government, opportunities are not less. Even lot of companies are shifting or are making plans to shift to India. Even taking talking about this solar industry, Goodwi is a very big Chinese company, inverter company. They are trying to come to India, invest in Baroda only. So opportunities will be created. Government will taking good initiative to pull the investments in India, and to make sure that employment standards are also raised. I'll just make a closing point that there would be a lot of opportunities in different sectors. And as a mechanical engineer, we have so many dimensions, verticals where we can kick off our career.
Okay, Kshitish, if I recall that you have your final year project, you carried out that project at industry, isn't it?
Yes.
If I don't forget, I think that company is a Siemens, isn't it? Yes, so sir. How much that project work at Cement helped you in your in carrying your journey into the corporate world?
So earlier, when we came in the fourth year, we came up with this final year project. Till fourth year, we never decided of that thing that this would be a to think of project and we have to present it. So in that period also we were having two things. Either we can have an industry project or we can have our personal project. We can take up some objective and we can make a project on it. So rather than going with taking our own initiative and project, we thought of going into industry because we in a team of four, we all were pretty much sure where we want to start after the graduation. So we started, we approached Bombardier from Baroda, we approached Siemens from Baroda, and luckily we were called for both the companies, but then we chose Siemens because they were having steam turbines, and we wanted to explore and we wanted to uh, increase the study the efficiency of steam turbine. So somewhere in Siemens we learned the corporate culture. We learned how big companies like Siemens, how they are driving the industrial uh, turbine industries, how they are driving, how small turbine to big turbine, how design is taking from a planning stage to a conceptual, from a conceptualized stage to concrete stage. So we learned those basics of designing. We learned basics of calculations. We learned the techno-commercial terms related to steam turbines. So that helped me in my Chinese tenure, where I was able to deliver the technical background, where I was able to convince them during my interview stage that uh, whatever I had learned in Siemens or whatever I had as a project in my final year, I have a very strong hold of mechanical engineering basics.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we'll be having a few personal questions. Now, in this entire journey, during this entire journey, what's the most difficult challenge you have faced in your life? Because there may be many ups and downs. So, could you please share with all of us?
Sure. So, one thing during Shri Ram after graduate, um, I joined this DCM Shri Ram, a chemical factory, and started with a very small, as I told. But then in that phase, I also I got interviewed for Jindal drilling, and I was about to letter and everything. I was just waiting for a call. Meanwhile, I didn't quit my job at DCM Shriram. And that period, I still remember 2017, 2015 or 16 it was, and where oil prices were coming drastically down. It was like 30 rupees a barrel or something like that. So it came drastically down, and all the positions of GETs were kept on hold by Jindal Drilling. So that particular period, I faced a very difficult and a critical one where I was not able to think what would be the next step, because I personally, as I told, that thinking of a big jump and starting with a small step, that is where I was not comfortable. I was not into a comfortable zone. So I figured out, I learned this phase that no matter if opportunities are lost, I never called. I was never called by Jindal Drilling because of that particular phase. It was continued till 1.5 year, and then I changed my job and I went to I took this Chinese opportunity. I learned there that even though I started at a very small thing, a small opportunity, I had the opportunity to learn and to make a strong to make strong of my basics whatever I had learned in my mechanical engineering. So it was, although a bad phase for me, I would consider, but then I took the opportunity to learn and to self-evaluate what more I can do in that or after that situation gets over.
Okay, how do you compare your experience at a small company like a Pratik Beverages to a large company where presently you are working, which is as a Sterling and Wilson Solar Limited? How will you compare your experience at these two companies? And could you let me continue? My second question is in continuation to the same question. Because being a graduate is always a dilemma to whether to start with working with a small company or to wait for the opportunity with a large company. So, with that regards, what do you advise to the graduates?
So there is a drastic change in all the organizations, I must say. Whether it is a small organization or a big organization. Starting with small organization, I had an opportunity to be a all-rounder. Main word, I would say I was able to be a all-rounder in the organization. At Pratik Beverages, I got this opportunity to be in a project side where I was able to scout the vendor to set up the beverage plant. Then I was able to negotiate with the different vendors, although it was a very small plant. But then, because of that, I developed the negotiation skill. I developed the relations, how to maintain with the vendor. If at all they are not going to be useful in the future, but we never know which relations will be helpful. Where I personally emphasize on this to develop a good relation with everyone you met in your professional world. So small industries are very good when you are freshly graduate, because say I talk about my culture in present organization, uh, you get a very limited space where you can, if you where you can work out of your box. You are always trying to ensure timely delivery of the material. That is what I have to ensure every now and then. Getting materials, conducting reverse auctions, trying to get the best market price from the vendor, fixing the order. So, in smaller organization, I was able to take hold of 4 to 5 activities where I was able to learn many new different verticals, and in bigger organization, you are very much limited to the objectives which you have to work upon. So starting with a small is the best part, and is should be considered a good opportunity irrespective of fields or irrespective of business verticals you are getting into.
Okay, my next question is regarding to your experience for automobile industries. Can you share something with the audience? What was your experience for automobile industries while working with your previous organization?
So, although I have a very limited automobile experience, but then during this Chinese tenure, we were having a parent sister company. They were developing transmission system for Chinese automobiles, and they were having a very huge market, domestic market. And because of daily interaction with their CEO, I learned that how Indian automobile industry making a big jump and was driving the world's automobile market as well. Where I learned that Indian automobile has the largest tractor manufacturing hub. Then they are having a largest heavy truck manufacturing units. So those are two three things where I came to know that automobile in India is a very good market where it is growing 15% annually. So 15% is very much huge when we say annually. So there are when down the line, if we see in a previous year, we are able to see that many Chinese car manufacturers have entered into India, where they have acquired General Motors plant in Vadodara. So this expansions are going to come in next 2 to 3 years, where uh, I, I I see that this market will be a very huge market, considering EV vehicles, considering BS5 engine vehicles. So it would be a very good opportunity and a market to explore for mechanical students as well. But personally, I have a very less automobile experience. But then the market trend in India shows that it is a 15% growth annually. So there are a lot of chances that there would be a higher pool of candidates would be taken up for different car companies or organizations.
So you mean to say the current slowdown is a temporary one? It's just a correction, market correction for the electrical vehicle and for the Euro 6 implementation. So yes, what in past few years or maybe a past few months, the slowdown which we noticed in the automobile sector is a temporary one.
Yes, sir.
So my next question is regarding to your current job role. How do you converge yourself for materials management, supply chain, and vendor management? Because after before being a graduate in mechanical engineering, how do you converge yourself with these management profiles?
So, as I said, I started very small and getting step by step. From project I went to sales, where in project during the tenure of project I had developed intrapersonal skills and negotiation skills, where I had learned where I had learned many steps. So I took a of getting into sales, where I learned up knowing the whole of organization, the operations, the margins, the productions, everything. Sales is a wonderful opportunity where you can learn a lot about the organization. You can understand the know-how of how organization runs from the sales department. So that is where I started. I was working on a new technology. It is a ground screw technology, where in India still solar industry leaders like Adani, L&T, then Sterling and Wilson, Tata, they were not using those ground screws. Basically, those ground screws are used as an alternative. So it is considered as a eco-friendly screws, which are size, and they are just drilled inside earth, so that to eliminate the concrete foundation. So those solar farms are very huge, and they required numbers of concrete foundation. So many industries have shifted to consider to make their solar utility farms as eco-friendly. So in Europe, in USA, this new technology was taking a high was into a huge demand. And when I started working on this technology, I figured out that in India still the organizations are not knowing and not using this technology. So this is where I got the opportunity in Sterling Wilson, where the general manager of Sterling Wilson called me, and they were developing world's biggest solar farm in Abu Dhabi, that is 1.1 gigawatt. So that is where they called me, and they told me to get on board Sterling Wilson and help them to develop this technology for international projects. So that is how I entered into Sterling Wilson. That is how I entered into supply chain management. I started developing vendors for this technology. Even I had pushed Indian vendors, fabricators to get into this technology. I gave them know-how of the technology. So we are developing this particular product in Indian market to cater the Indian market, or to substantially reduce our project cost, which is getting high because of concrete blasting.
It's good. Now, I mean, after listening your conversation, we can say there is a plenty of opportunity available for the mechanical engineers, isn't it?
Sure, sir. I mean, looking at the present scenario, uh, I mean, no one hoped that Atmanirbhar initiative would be taken up to learn the FDIs, to learn the investments uh, going out of the China. So indeed, it's just a matter of time. This pandemic has hurt all the industries a lot, and I believe that down the line, after 8 months or 10 months, we will start and we will be able to rebuild the economy, where there would be a lot of new industries coming up in the market. So
Job
what
opening for mechanical engineers too.
exactly? So it would be overall a good package for mechanical engineers, and would suggest to start working on in connections, working on their skills, what skills they have, what they would like to do, because there are many number of business verticals where a mechanical engineer can fit in.
And from your conversion, we can derive that to start your career with the sales department is also, it's quite worthy in a long run. As you mentioned that you completely know how your organization is functioning, and that too because you inducted with the sales department, isn't it?
Exactly, sir. So, being a mechanical engineer, even I was having this a state of mind that sales is not a good job. But then, when I joined a Chinese organization, I learned that sales is the only part of your organization where you can understand the whole process, how organization, how production work, how margins products needs to be sold. So sales is a wonderful part. I would suggest is a vertical where a graduate, freshly graduate, can learn and can derive a path from where, from sales to any path. If you want to jump, he can surely jump. There is no constraints on that. Sales guy cannot jump into SCM, or he cannot jump into project. So it is a wonderful business vertical where a person can learn a lot of things. As a mechanical engineer, we are very much quick in grasping the technical things. So we always have a upper notch compared to other sales executives or other sales verticals.
Okay, how do you remember your college? Because it's almost 10 years till you graduated. How do you remember Chotubai Gopalbhai Patel Institute of Technology?
College was the I still when we used to connect with now that every batchmate are at different locations, and when we connect we always remember our hostel days, because it was very new and we were the first batch where we were very much lucky to get our hands on new lab technologies, new lab machines. So I now, if I look back, then I feel proud that we were the first batch and we were able to use those machines, web machines, even our the CNC machines were very new. So those are the memorable days, and we can never forget those days.
Your special memory during your college days, would you like to share with the audience?
Special memory was we participated in Baja competition. So that was the first initiative Harsh from Automobile has taken up, and getting the help from the faculty members. Sudhakar sir was there, and it was a good overall this thing where we were able to make a presentation. We presented it in Bangalore. The support getting from faculty, where I understand that there were a lot of new things which you also have to handle as a faculty, and you were supporting those initiatives. So that memory and that special moment was a good turning point in my life, where I started developing as a self-driven.
Okay, at last, any advice for the graduates from your side?
Sir, I would only suggest to all the graduates that think, if at all some might get a big jump and some might get a short jump, but I would suggest that taking a small step is always a good step, where you can always survive, you can always uh, make your basics very strong. So no matter what step you are taking into, start developing your relations, your connections. Tell them what you want to do, what are you doing right now, and that step will surely ripe a fruit in the end once you are graduated. After all, the connections will only matter in the professional world. So starting at with sales is quite a good and a challenging job, where we as a person self evaluate ourselves, how to drive uh, our motives, our how to achieve our objectives. So just start with a small. If not getting a big opportunity, nothing will be nothing will hold you of getting to that big step once you have your basics clear.
Okay, Sitish, thank you very much. It was really wonderful talking to you on behalf of Chotubai Gopalbhai Patel Institute of Technology and Mukata University. So we are very proud of you, your progress. Our sincere prayer to God that you continue progressing like this. And with this note, thank you very much, and be in touch, and help us to help our graduates. Thank you very much.